sun is leaving the dock.
Well, it's not my fault we're late. We would have been here in plenty of time if you hadn't been gone all morning.
Business, darling, business.
Monkey business.
Oh, come on, Sylvia. Every time I'm out of your sight more than 5 minutes, you start accusing me
I'm not accusing you of anything, Jim. Maybe your conscience is bothering you.
I'm an insurance salesman, remember? I don't have a conscience.
All ashore that's going ashore. All ashore that's going ashore.
What are you waving at people you don't even know for?
It's like a parade, sweetheart. You're supposed to wave whether you know the people or not.
Not me.
Well, Jimmy, they say you don't fully appreciate something unless you paid for it.
No. I appreciate this free cruise. I do indeed. It's just that I thought, if this was supposed to be our second honeymoon, that I should probably conserve my strength. That's all.
I think you're probably right. I tell you what, you save your strength and I'll just wait for both of us.
I didn't forget anything.
Well, you brought everything but the car, Liz.
Whenever we go on a trip, I always worry. Did I turn off the gas in the oven?
I don't think so, sweetheart. Ours is electric.
Officer, sir, I'm Dr. Burke. I wonder if you could show me to my cabin.
Glad to, sir. Oh, your uniforms arrived about an hour ago.
The uniform? Oh, that's, of course. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can I help you with this?
Thanks. This way.
Did you tell Betsy how to get in touch with us in case of an emergency?
Betsy is 24 years old. She has her own home, a child, and a perfectly capable husband who can handle any emergency that might arise. Now, will you stop worrying?
I just don't want to give them the feeling that we've sailed away and abandoned them.
They probably won't even know we've gone. Besides, it'll give her a chance to be alone with her child without you hovering around somewhere in the background like a clucking, overprotective grandmother. Here I am, the real me. Neat, but not gaudy. What's the matter?
I think I'm going to be seasick.
Well, how can you be seasick? We haven't even left the dock yet. Excuse me. Hey, would you like to take a little stroll around the deck before lunch?
David, what if any one of the kids needs us and we're not there?
Well, then they're just going to have to muddle through without us.
David,
Now what?
don't light that cigar. Remember what the doctor said.
Elizabeth. Look, why don't you stay here and finish unpacking, huh? I'll see you later.
All visitors will please leave the ship. We will be sailing in 10 minutes.
Captain?
I'm not the captain. Although the uniforms are kind of impressive, aren't they?
That's very nice. Do you have a light?
I think I do, yes. I'm the ship's doctor.
Oh. Well, in that case, maybe you got something for seasickness, you know, just in case.
Sure enough. No. You'll take 2 of these right away, and then 1 every 4 hours.
1 every 4 hours. Thanks.
You know, I think it's that cigar that's making you sick.
Oh, well, I can fix that if you can talk the captain into stopping in Havana for about 20 minutes.
Keep the matches.
Oh, thanks.
Captain?
Dr. Burke?
I'm sorry, Captain. I haven't been in uniform since I was discharged from the Navy. I don't know whether to shake hands or salute.
This is not the Navy, Doctor. I only exercise my godlike powers in case of extreme emergency. Did you find your quarters all right?
Yes, sir.
Good. I wanted to thank you again for taking this job on such short notice.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Captain.
I hope so. Usually the people who take this cruise are in very good health. They spend most of their time relaxing and taking it easy, so there shouldn't be much for you to do, barring the unforeseen, of course.
Well, then I'll only exercise my godlike powers in case of extreme emergency.
Oh, one other thing. Since I cannot entertain the entire passenger list, the ship's officer asked to eat with the passengers. Just talk to them, answer their questions, you know?
Oh, I think I'd like that.
Fine. This will be your schedule. Table 24 for dinner tonight. Table 32 for breakfast tomorrow. There aren't that many of us, so we had to spread ourselves kind of thin. If you have any questions, feel free to call on me.
Thank you, Captain.
Hello. I wonder why it is that I like to watch you put your clothes on more than I like to watch you take your clothes off.
It's because you're perverse. Let's go to dinner.
You know why I married you?
Because of my keen mind and my scintillating wit.
No. Because every time I look at you, it's love at first sight again.
Oh, come on, sweetheart. We both know you married me for my money.
$68.27.
Oh, we've all got a price. You just happen to come cheap.
We have very good accommodations considering they're free. Outside stateroom with dressing room. I just can't remember entering that contest. We win first prize, a Caribbean cruise, and a contest I can't even remember entering. I feel kind of guilty about it, don't you? Jerry? Jerry? Probably bird dogging the deck.
I'm not feeling very well, so I won't be having dinner. I'm going to rest now, and I don't want to be disturbed.
Very well, Mr. Kramer. Just call if you need anything.
Yes, thank you.
Seasick?
Bad heart.
Dinner is now being served in the main salon.
Oh, this is my stateroom. I seem to have ended up right back where I started. Oh, excuse me. Where would I find the dining salon?
Oh, on the main deck.
And where would I find the main deck?
Up the stairs.
Where would I find the stairs?
Come on, I'll show you.
Oh, thank you. Oh.
Actually, Mr. Mason, I can't tell you very much about the ship. You see, I'm only a temporary replacement for the regular ship's doctor.
What happened to him?
Oh, it was very tragic, really. Tripped on the golf course and broke his ankle. So, this is my first Caribbean cruise and probably my last.
Well, it's our first cruise, too. But we won it. Some company called E&M Promotions had a contest, and we won a 3-week cruise on the Caribbean.
Oh, Jerry, over here.
I'm sorry, darling. I hope I didn't hold you up, but I was taking a little look around the ship.
Did you see anything interesting?
Lots of portholes. I'm Jerry Carter.
David Mason. My wife, Elizabeth. Hello. Dr. Burke, ship's doctor.
Doctor?
Mr. and Mrs. Radney.
Hello. Say, have we met someplace before?
I don't think so.
That's funny. You all look very familiar. Well, I'll remember. Never forget a face. Did I miss anything?
Well, as a matter of fact, Mrs. Radney was telling us how they won this cruise in a contest.
You're kidding. So did we.
E&M Promotions, 3 weeks, all expenses paid.
Well, what do you know? There must have been more than one first prize. Honey, take a shot of the whole table here, will you? And make 4 copies of it. 1 for each couple and 1 for the doctor. Oh, and put it on my bill. Okay, everybody. Smile.
Your attention, please. The pool is now open. The pool is now open.
Hello, Mrs. Carter.
Oh, hello, Doctor. Have you seen my husband?
No, but I'll help you look for him. One great thing about being on a ship, he can't have gone too far.
In that case, I guess if I keep moving, I'll find him sooner or later.
Wait a minute. I saw some of the people from your table on the sports deck playing ping pong.
Oh, that's not exactly Jerry's game. He goes more for indoor sports.
If I see him, I'll tell him you're looking for him.
Thank you, Doctor. But he probably already knows that, which is why I can't find him.
Your attention, please. Your attention, please. A mixed shuffleboard tournament will be held at 3 o'clock this afternoon. On the upper deck. There will be a mixed shuffleboard tournament on the upper decks at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
No, not that way, Mrs. Radney. Look, just keep the wrist stiff like that. That's it. And swing the paddle through with the whole arm. That's it. Don't crack the wrist. Just keep the arm nice and straight. That a girl. Now you got it. See?
She sees, Jerry.
Oh, hi, darling. Come on down.
What the hell do you think you're doing? Or are you the new ping pong pro?
I'm not doing anything, darling.
Of course, dear.
Look, her husband is sitting right there. He doesn't seem to be upset.
That's only because he doesn't know you as well as I do. Just give him some time.
My wife seems to have a slight foot problem. It usually ends up in my mouth.
I guess I was wrong. It's not going to be a dull trip.
There's something so familiar about those people, the Masons and the Radneys. Even the name sounds familiar. Can't quite put my finger on it, but I know I've met them somewhere before. Well, if you'd rather, we could have dinner sent down here. Oh, come on, baby. Knock off the silent treatment. I said I was sorry.
Can't we go one place, one time? When you don't make me feel like...
Hey, darling. What is this? Now, you know I love you. You do know that, don't you? Now, come on. Why don't you just be my baby and we'll forget about the whole thing? Okay?
We'll be late for dinner. Are you ready?
You look absolutely gorgeous tonight. I really mean it.
I know, Jerry. You always do.
My grandfather was a lawyer. My father was a lawyer. They both graduated from Columbia Law.
May I have the salt, please?
Am I forgiven?
For the millionth time. Can I have the salt now?
What do you do, Mr. Mason?
Does it really matter, Mr. Radney?
What do you mean?
Well, if I told you that I was a ditch digger, you'd form an opinion of me from that. And if I told you that I was a wealthy, powerful industrial magnate, you'd form a different opinion based on the simple answer to that simple question. Instant status. So, I'll tell you what. I'm going to let you figure it out for yourself. And you let me know what you come up with,
I'll grant one thing. You don't seem stupid.
That only proves that I could be a very smart ditch digger.
David, dear. Don't eat so fast. Remember what the doctor said?
I'll tell you what the doctor said. He said there's going to be another dance in here tonight. Isn't that right, Doctor?
That's what the calendar says. I was just coming through hoping to find a partner for the first dance.
Well, certainly. My wife would love to. She's a marvelous dancer.
Perhaps a bit later, Doctor.
Oh, all right. Excuse me.
Atlanta, Georgia. Have you ever been there?
Many times.
Atlanta. You know, I knew a little blonde from Atlanta. Her name was Dixie something or other. Probably one of the best-looking little blondes that I've...
Excuse me.
Well, that was before I was married, naturally. You'll have to excuse my wife. She's a little sensitive. Bless her. Atlanta. 1970? Well, it'll come to me.
It's been a long time, Liz. How long has it been? Just you and me, huh? What are you thinking about?
Actually, I was thinking about Betty and the baby. David, what's the matter?
They're gone, Elizabeth. Don't you understand? They're grown up and they're gone.
Well, they'll always be our children.
For the past 25 years, it's been the children this and the children that. Their schools, their clothes, their anecdotes, their ailments.
But
we started out as just two people, Elizabeth. Just the two of us.
David.
The children were something that came later. They're not our lives, Elizabeth. They're not you and me.
They'll always be a big part of my life.
I was a big part of your life when we were first married.
And then we had the children.
But now we don't. They're all grown up and they're gone. And now we've got to get back to you and me, Elizabeth. We've got to. Because if we can't...
If we can't?
Well, then there's no reason for us staying together, is there?
David. After all these years?
Especially after all these years.
Good night. See you on deck tomorrow.
Night, Jackie. All right, see you tomorrow. See you for deck tennis, right? You're going to be on the...
You want a nightcap?
Well,
want a nightcap? Okay. Oh, boy, oh, boy. See you, Fred.
1970. It's the year we got married.
Do you happen to remember where we spent our honeymoon?
Oh, sure. Atlanta.
Do you remember meeting Jerry Carter in Atlanta in 1970?
Honey, the only thing I saw in Atlanta was you.
The dance was over an hour ago.
Do you think it's romantic, Doctor? The balmy breezes, the moon, the ocean.
Depends on who you're with.
At this particular moment, you happen to be with me.
And you happen to be married.
And if I weren't?
And I think of balmy breezes and the moon and the ocean.
Thank you, Doctor. You're a great morale booster. Good night, Doctor. And if you happen to see my husband, you might remind him that he's married, too.
Continue to search that passageway. Well, we've searched every passageway, the baggage compartments, the holds, even the engine room.
What about the chain lockers?
Well, Captain, no one would go into one of the...
We won't know that until we look, will we?
No, sir.
It has Jerry Carter's initials on it. Would you like me to show it to his wife?
Please, Doctor. But don't alarm her unnecessarily. He may still be on the ship.
Do you really think so?
Between you and me, no.
Where's Jerry this morning?
I don't know exactly. Jerry hates breakfast.
There is an oil shortage, you know, Mr. Radney.
Well, I'm not talking oil, Mr. Mason. I'm talking energy.
That's Jerry's.
It was found lying on the deck. Mrs. Carter, why didn't you report your husband missing?
I don't know exactly that he is missing.
Well, when was the last time you saw him?
Dinner last night.
He didn't return to the stateroom at any time since then? You must have been worried.
I think curious would be a better word.
Mrs. Carter, we're on a ship in the middle of an ocean. Your husband is gone all night, and your feeling is one of curiosity?
Doctor, this is not the first time my husband didn't come home all night. At first I was worried. Now I am merely curious.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Carter. I don't mean to be rude, but the captain is very concerned. Your husband may have fallen overboard. We're searching the ship. I'll let you know as soon as we have any information.
I thought he might be with another woman, and I would look ridiculous. He liked to make me look ridiculous for some reason. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction. I forgot we were on a ship, and people can fall off a ship. I feel like I've been cheated. All those things I've got stored up I was going to say to him someday. It's just not fair. It doesn't make sense. Things like that just don't happen in real life. People falling overboard. They just don't happen.
Captain?
Well?
The cigarette case did belong to Mr. Carter.
Why didn't you report him missing? Why did we have to find out from a steward?
She didn't even know until I told her.
Didn't know?
Well, she said that there were many nights he didn't come home.
Thank you, Doctor.
Don't look so sad. Come on, we hardly knew Jerry Carter, honey.
Well, it's not just Jerry Carter. It's how awful it must be to be down there in the water and call for help. And to just watch the ship get smaller and smaller.
Wow. Why don't we go back to the cabin? Come on.
Jimmy, I'm scared.
Darling, you can't let it panic you. Come on.
Jimmy. Jimmy, I want to have a baby.
Just because some loudmouth fell overboard, you...
No. Because... what if something happened to you? Like it happened to Jerry Carter? I wouldn't have anything.
You'd have some lovely memories.
It's not enough. I want to have a baby.
We talked it over when we got married, and we agreed.
It was 4 years ago. It's like we've been on a 4-year honeymoon.
Oh, what's so awful about that?
Well, it's like trying to be Sweet 16 forever. You just can't do it.
We'll talk about it when we get back.
No, I want to talk about it now.
Honey, we're on a vacation. Okay, if you want it now, the answer is no. No baby, not now or ever. Is that clear?
Why not?
Because I like things the way they are. I like us. I like what we are together. I don't want to share you.
No.
Well, if you just have to have the patter of little feet, you're going to have to buy yourself a Cocker Spaniel.
Good morning, Doctor. Good morning.
Mr. Kramer, it's nice to see you out on deck enjoying the sunshine.
But it's nice to be here. Oh, did you get my medical records?
Oh, yes, Dr.
Whitmer. Dr. Charles Whitmer.
That's it. Dr. Whitmer. He sent your complete file, EKG, everything.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much.
Enjoy yourself.
Thank you, yes.
Where'd you get this?
I brought it with me.
It's not even noon yet. Don't you think you're rushing the cocktail hour a little?
I'm bored.
Bored?
David, you've still got your work. But I don't have mine anymore. As you have pointed out, the children are grown up and gone. And I'm bored.
Oh, please, Elizabeth.
No, you're right. The magic is gone. All 30 years' worth. This may not be easy for you to swallow, but you were never the magic. The children were. And I thank you for them. No, all I ever was to you was chief cook and hostess with sleep-in privileges. Children were my whole life. Because without them, I wouldn't have had any life at all. Because you were always out to lunch. Now all of a sudden, it's just you and me, babe. Just the two of us. I'm sorry, David. That would really have to be magic.
Look, Elizabeth, I really don't want to listen to you. Not this way.
You can dish it out, but you can't take it, can you? What are you staring at?
Excuse me.
David, I'm sorry.
Scotch on the rocks, please.
Here's to the women, God bless them.
Amen. Dave, can I ask you a question?
What?
Are you happily married?
The words happily and married contradict each other and should never be used in the same sentence.
You do that very well.
Well, it's really very simple. You just pretend the clay pigeons are people you don't like. Poe!
Whoever he is, I'd hate to be in his shoes.
Not really. I take it all out on the clay pigeons. Poe!
Dr. Burke, you're saying it's murder.
I'm just saying that 2 accidental deaths with no witnesses is more than a coincidence.
You state in your official report that Mrs. Mason fractured her skull in a fall down the stairs.
But you see, she could just as easily have been hit over the head with a heavy, blunt object and dropped down the stairs.
Then why don't you say that?
Well, I couldn't be certain. I mean, I'm not an expert in forensic medicine. Anything is possible.
You can't have it both ways, Doctor. What is it, accident or murder?
The only thing I can state with medical certainty is that Elizabeth Mason is certifiably dead.
Then let's leave it at that. Until we get to Maracaibo.
Yes, sir. And what about the other people at table 24, sir?
Let them enjoy the rest of the cruise. They paid for it.
No, they didn't. Not one person at that table paid for this trip. They won the cruise in a contest, all of them.
How do you know that?
They discussed it at dinner the first night.
I wonder why I wasn't told. Drink?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Contests are usually coordinated through the public relations department of the steamship line. I would have been informed.
Let me see. They said the name of the company that sponsored the contest. E&M Promotions.
Never heard of them. But of course, that doesn't mean anything. I've been sailing out of Miami for 8 years and just found out they had a football team, the Miami Porpoises.
Dolphins, I think.
Same generic family. Get me the address of that promotion company. I'll contact them by radio.
Yes, sir. And what about the other 4 people, sir?
What do you suggest? That we tell him someone's trying to kill him? And lock him in their stateroom? Change the report to murder, and I'll do that.
Get you that address, sir.
Mr. Mason, I just wanted you to know how sorry we are.
Oh, thank you.
And if there's anything we can do...
Well, No, there's nothing, thank you.
Well, if you need us...
You know, I never realized that there were so many forms to fill out. They're keeping her in the refrigerator.
Come on, Mary. I said I was sorry.
Why are you sorry, Jimmy? Because you said it or because you meant it?
Look, a man falls overboard and all of a sudden you want a baby.
4 years is not all of a sudden.
Honey, you are not personally responsible for maintaining the current world population.
Oh, God, Jimmy, I feel so sorry for you.
Mrs. Carter?
Mr. Mason?
I owe you an apology, Mrs. Carter. I'm afraid I didn't fully appreciate how you must have felt until today.
I know. I'm terribly sorry about your wife.
Thank you. You mind?
Oh, of course, please.
I've been thinking about Elizabeth. You know, we were married 31 years, last April 6th, and... Well, I guess I've been going over those years, past few hours, sort of replaying them in my own mind.
Did you love your wife?
After 31 years? Yes, I loved her very much. You know, it's funny, I can tell you this. I wish I'd have told her.
My husband was a scoundrel.
That's a word I haven't heard in a long time, scoundrel.
It's the only word I can think of that fits him perfectly.
Look, I don't think I could face all those people, and... Well, I was planning on having dinner in my room. Would you care to join me?
Yes, I would. I'd like that very much.
Oh, that'd be very nice.
Your drink, miss.
I didn't order a drink.
The gentleman ordered it.
That gentleman?
I don't know, miss. It was called in. I'd never heard of it before. He had to tell us how to mix it. It's called an Atlanta Blackout. He said to give it to you with his compliments. And to tell you he'd be waiting for you.
Thanks.
discovered the body?
Mr. Mason, she was supposed to have dinner with him. All right, Captain. This one I will certify as murder.
I've already notified the authorities in Miami. I asked them to give me all the information they can on the people at that table. I also notified the authorities in Caracas, asking them to take jurisdiction in the case.
Caracas? Why not the American authorities? The State Department?
This ship is Norwegian registry, Doctor. Under maritime law, that means that the murders occurred in Norwegian territory. The United States have no jurisdiction in this case. What is it you're looking for, Dr. Burke?
That. You see, the 2 bullets that killed Mrs. Carter went through her body, and yet I can't find a trace of them in this room. She must have been killed somewhere else and then brought to this cabin, wrapped in those towels.
That's very good. But where was she killed?
I'll know that when we find the 2 bullet holes. Who has the key to that room?
Just Mrs. Carter and the steward.
Where are the other passengers from table 24?
In the conference room, on A deck. They are under guard.
Good idea. Where are their staterooms?
I will ask the purser.
I'll make you a little bet that they're all right in this corridor.
I was just talking to her this afternoon. We were going to have dinner together.
If this keeps up, that refrigerator's going to be stocked full by the time we hit Maracaibo. I'm sorry.
Good evening.
Captain, I'd like to know why we're being held prisoner.
Mr. Barrere is not here to keep you in. He's here to keep other people out.
The question was why?
Mr. Mason, we have reason to believe someone is trying to kill you.
Me?
All of you. Excuse me.
You see, we found out that there is no such company as E&M Promotions. It's just a post office box.
Then where did the tickets come from?
According to the Miami police, they were purchased from a travel agency with a postal money order. The whole thing seems to have been just a trick to get you here.
Captain, I want off this ship immediately. I want you to radio for a plane to take me off.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Look,
Mason.
I don't care what it costs. Just do it.
By the time they could send a plane to us, we will have docked in Maracaibo. Excuse me.
The thing that I'm curious about is the reason for these murders. Is there something you all have in common? Maybe an enemy? Someone you've all known at one time or another?
No, before this cruise, we hadn't even heard of each other.
We were complete and total strangers.
Jerry Carter said he remembered us from somewhere.
Where, Mrs. Redney?
Atlanta. 1970.
Well, can you think of something else? Anything else?
No. No, that's all. Just Atlanta, Georgia, 1970.
Yeah, but then he said it'll come to me like he was close to remembering.
And then he was the first to die.
I was there that year on a business trip. My wife and I drove down.
Well, we were there on our honeymoon in August.
Second week in August?
Yes.
Are we just going to wait here to be killed?
I've taken that into consideration, Mr. Rodney. I'm closing the ship down tight. Everyone will stay in their cabins until we dock. The rest of the passengers are being informed right now. Mr. Barrere, I want a guard in every corridor, every stairwell, every deck. I want every man who's not on duty standing watch. You will be personally responsible for the people in this room.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me.
If you'll come with me, please.
It'll be okay. Okay.
Forgot my purse. I'll go get it.
Mary Frances!
Is this your idea?
No, sir. Hers. Captain said you'd be all right. The decks are deserted.
Mrs. Radney, feel like talking?
Depends on what you want to talk about.
People at table 24?
What about them?
That's what I hoped you'd tell me.
Basically, they were selfish. And you were totally insensitive.
Including your husband?
My husband's dead. You leave him alone. Paul! Paul!
Mrs. Radney, I was looking for you.
Have you found something, Captain?
No. Dr. Burke is still conducting the investigation.
Dr. Burke?
Yes.
Is Dr. Burke also a detective?
No, but he's very adept and very perceptive.
Well, that's not really very comforting to those of us left, Captain.
There's mine.
I raided your inquiries to Miami. We should have an answer by the time we reach Maracaibo tomorrow evening.
Good. Whose purse is this?
It belonged to Sylvia Carter. It was found on deck after she was killed. She must have left it there.
Sylvia Carter. If Sylvia Carter was murdered, well, we don't know where, but her body was taken back to her cabin. Now, how did the murderer get in the cabin door if her key was in the purse on deck?
That's a good question.
Yes?
Steward, miss, with your dinner.
Thank you.
sir, with your dinner.
Oh. Oh, that's all right. I'll do it myself. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Oh, by the way, we'll be tying up in about an hour. Maracaibo.
Fine, thank you.
I'll be back for the table later.
Who is it?
Steward for the table, sir.
Oh.
Good evening, Mr. Mason.
How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm fine now, sir.
You didn't see who hit you?
No, sir. All I remember is standing in the passageway. Next thing I know, he's waking up with a gigantic headache.
Whoever did it had to have come from one of these rooms. He couldn't have come all the way down the hall. Barrere would have seen him.
Which one? You're dismissed.
Thank you, sir.
Captain Vettori. Thank you. The radio room contacted the Miami police. They find no record of the existence of a Joel D. Kramer.
Kramer?
Mr. Chabonnet?
Captain?
Open it.
To the name. Joel Kramer is not his real name. Even his address, his next of kin, the name of the doctor he gave us to call in case of emergency, they're all phony.
I've seen him on the deck.
How about Atlanta, 1970?
I don't think so.
Until he came aboard this ship, 9:38 of the day we sailed, Joel D. Kramer did not exist. Now, there were only 6 people aboard this ship that might know his real name. 5 of them are dead.
I'm sorry, Doctor. I don't know.
Would you like to hear the official version? Mr. Kramer lured 6 people aboard this ship with a phony contest, murdered 5 of them, then committed suicide by jumping overboard.
A few minutes before we docked? Do you believe that?
The only way I could convince the local authorities to assume jurisdiction was to tie it up in a neat package.
Well, that's one way to get rid of a hot potato, isn't it? Throw it in the water.
Dr. Burke. He did jump overboard.
I'm not interested in official versions of jurisdiction, Captain. Somebody killed 5 people on this ship. You just can't sweep that under a rug. Well, maybe they can, but I can't.
You do whatever you think you have to, Doctor. I'll help you any way I can. Unofficially, of course.
Did you find something? Doctor?
Mrs. Radley, excuse me. I have to go ashore. I have phone calls to make and places to go.
Well, thank you very much. By boat in an hour. I see. Oh, he has. Oh, well, thank you very much. Excuse me. I'm Dr. Burke. I called you from Maracaibo.
Oh, yes, sir.
The gentleman I'm looking for, I'm not sure of his name, but he would have checked in the last 24 hours, and he looks something like this.
He would look exactly like that, sir. Mr. Kroger. I believe he's out on the beach.
Good afternoon, Mr. Carter.
Well, good afternoon, Doctor. This is quite a coincidence.
Not really. Thought you might need your passport.
Ah, poor Jerry. Deep in a watery grave. I'm afraid you've gone to a great deal of trouble for nothing, Doctor.
I wouldn't say it was for nothing.
That was brilliant. The execution, the planning, absolutely flawless. But here you are. How'd you find me?
The killer had a key to your stateroom. There were only 3 keys. The steward had one. One was in your wife's purse on deck. Jerry Carter had the 3rd key.
Excellent.
Then there were the photographs of table 24. I found 3 of them where they belonged. But the 4th was in Kramer's room, not Carter's.
Very good.
After that, it was a simple matter of matching descriptions on the passports. Height, weight, color of eyes. I got 2 that were very close. So here I am.
Well, in a way, I'm glad, really. An artiste would like to think that there's at least one person in the world who understands and appreciates his work.
Maybe I can start a fan club.
No doubt you mean the police. There's nothing they can do to me. Nothing anyone can do to me. 5 Americans murdered in Norwegian territory, en route to a Venezuelan port. Killed by a dead man who's now in Dutch territory. Would you care to walk, Doctor? A complex maritime legal question. It would take the international courts years just to figure out who has jurisdiction in the case. But you knew all that before you came here, didn't you? Then why'd you come?
Find out the reason. Why did you do it?
Very simple. I wanted to kill my wife.
Why?
Only a man who's never been married would ask a question like that. There's another woman.
According to your wife, there were lots of other women.
But this was special. Very special.
What about the other people you killed?
Merely to confuse the issue. One murder is much easier to solve than 5. Don't you agree?
So you killed 3 perfect strangers. Your wife was heavily insured, wasn't she?
You're on the wrong track. They were all heavily insured. You see, I worked for the insurance company, so I had to pick the names very carefully. Find some common ground, something in the past.
That would be Atlanta 1970.
Exactly. See, the police will start with a crime and work backwards. What did these people have in common? What happened in Atlanta? How did their paths cross? The answer? They didn't. So no matter how you approach this crime, Doctor, it's absolutely flawless. An enigma within a puzzle. A Mobius strip of circumstances, beginning at the end and ending at the beginning. The perfect crime.
Except for me.
What can you do?
I can tell them that Mr. Carter is Mr. Kramer, is now Mr. Kroger.
Mr. Carter is dead, remember? So is Mr. Kramer. And very soon, Mr. Kroger will disappear. And I'll have a new name.
The name that appears on your wife's insurance policy as beneficiary.
No, Doctor. Her brother's the beneficiary.
And on your insurance policy?
No. I left everything to my dear late wife. Probably go to her brother, too. You see, nothing is like you think it is. And that's why no one will believe you.
I don't understand.
Well, Doctor, try to think of it as a beautifully colored rainbow. You can see the whole thing clearly defined, and yet it isn't there. It isn't really there at all.
You're hiding something. Now, if this thing was as perfect as you say it is, why would you have to hide anything? There's more to it. There's something I haven't found out yet. And it's the reason for this thing. But I promise you, Mr. Carter, I'll find it.
Yes, Doctor, I think maybe you will. $1 million. $1 million.
How?
I'm sorry, Doctor. I'm afraid that your time has run out. Don't bother. This island is noted for its secluded beaches.
Where did you come from?
I knew you'd find him. I wanted to be here when you did, so I followed you.
Well, your timing was perfect anyhow. Mrs. Radney, who's the beneficiary of your husband's insurance policy?
please don't load that gun, Mrs. Radney. And what was the value of that policy? $1 million? How long have you and Jerry been planning this?
Planning what?
Must have seemed like a great idea. Carter gets rid of his wife and your husband. And then the two of you split your husband's insurance. At least that's what Carter thought. But I suspect you were planning to kill him all along, weren't you?
I really don't know what you're talking about.
You said you were special. Very special. Shall we go?